What's up, everybody? Hope you're having a fine day. All right, I got me, I got someone else, I got Randy, and I got Sean.
Hey, Tim, it's Craig. How you doing?
Hey, bud, how are you?
All right.
What's going on, guys?
Mr. McQuestion, how's it going?
Boy, that was a fake smile.
Man, life couldn't be better.
Really?
Oh, yeah, it's been great.
Well, I've got, of course, the first event on my calendar after 5 o'clock in probably 6 months, and my kid's jiu-jitsu coach schedules his next belt test for the exact same time. So,
oh no,
we are testing the limits of technology, and gonna roll on this mobile so I can go watch the belt test.
Talk to us
and hear what all you wonderful, intelligent people have to say.
Well, it sounds good. I'm going to have dinner while we're talking, too.
Well, did you cook the dinner, or was it just handed to you?
Does that look cooked? I know you're driving.
Looks great.
Keller's burger to me.
A chicken sandwich with bacon.
So on Monday, I lost a chili cook-off at Hayes Elementary School to a guy whose chili was entitled "You Had Me at Bacon." It was horrible, but the kids are the ones that voted, so of course,
you gotta play to the kids.
That's right. You got to know your audience, right?
Yeah, know your audience.
So, yeah, I hadn't really seen you since last year. So,
right. Happy New Year.
See you. Yeah, you too, bud. Well, I guess I'll start since I'm probably going to have to be on mute here in a little bit. I'm working my way through a mechanics lien that was put on 3 of my properties by my property manager for some pretty unsubstantiated amounts and dollars and fees and things like that. Of course, he rushed to the mechanics lien trying to tie up the properties to make it where we couldn't refinance. Unbeknownst to him, 2 of them had already been refinanced, and the other one was actually pending sale. So I'm learning a lot in a crash course about bonding around mechanics liens, but then also the way that the Texas Constitution works. And so he swore and attested a certain amount on his mechanics lien, and now he's trying to claim like almost double on that. And so that's actually a violation of the law, the way the Texas Constitution works. But I'm hopeful that I can continue to be professional and calm, which Randy would tell everyone on the call is a rarity for Tim. But I'm hoping I can be professional and calm and just work through it. It's just, it's like I tell my wife, it's one of those things. You just got to roll with the punches and work through it. So got that. Let's see. It's almost February. For all intents and purposes, it's February. I've got 2 flips closing, 1 hotel, and 1 assignment. Seems like there's something else. I don't know. That's about it. And then lead activity has been pretty good on our acquisitions end. Lots of calls. I wouldn't say lots of appointments or qualified sellers, but at least the phone's ringing. When the phone rings in the acquisitions business, it's always a good thing. I've got a house in Rockwall that I did not want to sell that I think we're going to sell. We blew through about $300,000 in cash in fourth quarter. And it's just kind of one of those, I'm sure everybody on the call has been there where you get real estate rich and cash poor. And so I think we're going to try to keep the Rockwall house, but we may sell it. But I had to go to San Antonio for 2 days last week trying to line out a project down there. And I feel like that house is just going to have to be sold because just the logistics of getting down there and getting back. Give everybody an update kind of on the, February 27th, I think is the date of the all-day meeting. It's most likely going to be in Plano. I've got a couple venues I'm talking to, really just trying to get a hotel that has an acceptable meeting room and use their meeting room, but something that's close to bars and restaurants, kind of in that Plano, North Dallas area, where we can, have an effective meeting and also enjoy each other's company. That's kind of, I hope to have it all locked down by the end of the week. What is today? Today's Wednesday. It looks good to do so, but we'll know after that. But that's really all I have going on. I just trying to buy a couple more houses. First part of the year, income, cash flow was good in fourth quarter. Income was bad in fourth quarter. So we're really just looking at, doing a couple more assignments, a couple more flips, trying to get the income numbers up for this quarter, and just keep on trucking through 2020 and see what the election has to hold,
So, Tim, did you say that you were able to get the refinance done on those rentals, or?
Yeah,
or
all those refinances, all those refinances went through.
Okay.
The interest rates are just amazingly good. That's another reason that I don't really
you're breaking up.
Anything that I don't necessarily have to get. To give up, we're getting 4.8, 4.9% interest rates.
Okay.
And so, really want to capitalize on that as much as possible. But, if we got to sell them to have cash, we got to sell them, it's just one of those things.
Now, did you do a loan per property or did you do a blanket loan for all of them?
I don't have any blanket loans. I don't like the idea of cross collateralization. I don't like the idea of, all those blanket loans, they have a kind of a defeasance clause to where, if you pay one off, you got to pay off 20% of the other ones. And, I feel like it just makes my rental properties less liquid. Kind of my whole thing about rentals versus owner financing and a lot of the other things is to have a liquid asset that if you need to sell one, you sell one. If you need to refinance one, you refinance one. If you need to owner finance one, you owner finance one, and you don't get stuck in the, in that blanket situation. So no, they're all one-off, 30-year fixed, individual loans per property.
Okay. And you said you bought a hotel too? Is that what I heard?
No, I said wholesale. So, Randy and his daughter Shelby help with a lot of my acquisitions. And we find these houses that are structurally sound, but need to be cleaned up. But there's enough motivation to where the seller is ready to do something. And we buy them and just kind of clean them out and put them on MLS where they actually, that they work for an owner occupant, but not at full price. So you don't have to go through the full retail. I find lately, to retail a property in the Dallas Metroplex, it's kind of dicey because you have to just, in my opinion, over rehab these houses to get to the number. And there's just a lot of HGTV investors out there just rehabbing the heck out of these houses, even in $150,000 and $170,000 neighborhoods, so much that it's like, it just makes me not want to rehab. And also the contractor issue, and the logistics and the overhead and the just the manpower it takes to manage these rehabs is so high that it just feels like this phase of the market, it's better to be kind of balance sheet light unless it's something that you're keeping for the long term. At least that's my opinion.
So over the next 30 days, then your goal is to continue to look for deals in wholesale, or are you keeping any for rentals for the future?
Well, hopefully, by the time we get through with taxes and all that, hopefully we end up keeping the property in Rockwall that we have on Stimson. And then
that's going to be a rental?
Yeah, that's what I want it to be. It's a 322 brick. It's got a value of about $240. We paid $150. We're going to spend about $20,000, and it'll rent for $1,600 to $1,700.
Okay.
And so what I'm trying to do right now is I've talked a lot about the Airbnb property down in San Antonio,
right.
Where it's just one of those deals. We've got $100K in it out of pocket, and if we flipped it, we could not only get our $100K back, but make probably a $50,000 profit. I was just trying to talk Jennifer into agreeing to kind of liquidate that one, replenish the cash that way, and then keep this Rockwall house. And the goal this year is 6 new rentals, kind of one every other month.
Okay.
But I guess we'll see. But that's really my whole update. You got any other questions, Sean? Those are good questions.
Nope.
All right. Well, Sean, why don't you take it away?
All right. Well, right now, got a house under contract in Little Elm. Got the purchase and rehab. I'll be into it for probably about 120. Property's worth about 190. I'm bringing in a partner on that for long-term financing. A friend of mine, I'm actually helping him with that one. And then still working on apartments. Unfortunately, the deal we talked about last month, we had to terminate the contract on our Florida deal for apartments, but Daniel and I are working on acquiring a new apartment. We've come up with some really good strategies for a great return for the investors, and also taking some of our own cash and putting it into some deals. Wanted some feedback on blanket loans, because we're considering doing a blanket loan for a package of rental properties and pulling a bunch of cash out and then taking that cash and putting that into apartments. So anybody that has experience with blanket loans for a bunch of rental properties, just want to see what the pros and cons are of that. And additionally, dealing with some, we've done some subject to properties that are owner finance over the years, and got one lender that's looking at calling the loan due, which is the first time we've had that happen in a long time. So we're dealing with that issue. And the goal is to do 1,000 apartment units over the next 3 years, with the goal of getting the next apartment under contract within the next 90 days. And so I think we've got a really good strategy to fund, fix, and get it up and running with the exit strategy of 3 to 5 years. If anybody's rehabbed or refinanced an apartment and pulled their cash out, I'd like to know if anybody in the group has done that and gets just some feedback, pros and cons on that. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, so on the blanket loans, obviously at B2R, I basically created that industry.
Okay.
So, I can definitely help you there. The B2R operates under Finance of America now. They still do blanket loans. You're really looking at a 5 or a 10-year balloon on all those blanket loans.
Okay.
Rates are pretty low right now. RCN, the people that I do my rental loans through, they'll actually do some blanket loans as well. So it just depends on the collateral. You got to make sure they're not owner finance properties.
Right.
But it's definitely a good option. I just prefer the one-offs, just that way they're not all encumbered, and
Right.
you can still save some money. When we did this last batch of 5, I kind of took them all to the lender at once. And so we saved like a bunch of
Closing costs.
Closing costs, legal fees, doc prep, and all that by bundling them together. So we still got some of the advantages of doing a blanket without the negatives, in my opinion. But I'm happy to introduce you to 1 or 2 folks that can do that. And then on the apartment refis, I've never actually done one. I've been a part of one where I was a passive investor, but basically everybody I know uses Old Capital here in Dallas to do their apartment loans.
Old money as in private money?
No, they're refinances.
Oh, I see.
So Old Capital's refinancing the apartments after the net operating income's been increased?
Yeah. I tell you, for everyone from Brad Sumrock to Mike Lawson, everybody I know that is actually a real investor. Old Capital is pretty much who they're using, because it's all Fannie Freddie product. It just depends on, how experienced the lender is and if they can, what their fee structure is like and how easy they are to work with.
So let's say we have a package of 20 rental properties and we're 50% LTV. So pulling out a crap load of cash and doing a 5 or 10-year balloon. Does anybody see any problem with that, being able to get the same lender to re-up in 5 years? Or am I going to be left holding the bag if the economy goes down or if they just say, hey, we don't want to do rental or real estate loans anymore. Now in 5 years, I'm stuck trying to find a lender who will do it.
That was always my concern as well. Honestly, when we were originating those loans for B2R, it was a concern I had. It's just what's going to happen to these investors that we loan millions of dollars, and if the market takes a dive, how are they going to pay us off? And it's still a concern. I don't really know. Frankly though, Sean, that's why I do all 30-year fixed.
Right. Well, there's definitely some advantage to that, and maybe doing one at a time actually might not be a bad idea. But if we have 20 properties, it's really attractive to do the package together. And so over the next few years, if I want to buy another 20 rental properties, and with the idea of packaging those together in 5 or 10 years, it's a pretty substantial amount of cash we could pull out of these deals if the market keeps going up in value like it has been.
Yeah, well, ping me and I'll introduce you to Matt, and I'll introduce you to Joaquin over at Corvest. And actually, my number one salesperson from B2R is still there, Lisa. She runs all sales now for the entire Finance of America commercial. So I can definitely introduce you to some folks that can, give you your options.
Okay.
Tim, what are you seeing the rates being in that
Space.
Yeah, in that space. Thank you.
The rates seem to be mid fives with the rates seem to be mid fives with the 1 to 2 points in closing costs.
Okay. Well, that's about it for me. Daniel and I we're actively buying right now. So if anybody has any single family homes in the DFW Metroplex, we're in the buying mode. We have we can take down deals with cash. So Tim or Randy or any of you guys have some deals that we have a buy and hold strategy. So if you've got some deals you want to get rid of quickly or doesn't meet your portfolio, we'd be interested in taking a look at those.
Excellent. Who wants to go next?
So I got on late. What exactly is the format?
Just what are we round robin? Just a round robin. Let everybody kind of update everyone on what they're doing, what they need help with, what the challenges are, any new developments that are helpful to the group.
Okay,
round
cool.
robin.
All right. Well, Sean talked about a lot of that. Currently buying a lot of subject twos, finding that agents have a lot of inventory at their disposal, and they're not moving it, but they don't know what to do. So that marketing avenue is working very well at the moment. My personal, I live in Lake Highlands. My house is free and clear. I write off too many of my expenses on my tax report or my tax return, and so I was turned down for a HELOC. So I'm personally looking for a way to tap into the equity here in my free and clear property, my homestead, to go out and buy more income producing assets. So any referrals for, I don't know, a bank that understands a balance sheet as opposed to what a credit or a tax return says, I'd be interested in that referral. Otherwise, we've got a training tomorrow at 11 in the morning where we're going to teach some folks how to locate, analyze, and look at the numbers on some multifamily homes. So kind of train some bird dogs. And so anybody that's interested in getting involved with learning how to locate and evaluate multifamily homes, we'd love to have you. Our goal is in 36 months, 3,000 doors in 36 months. And so just like Sean said, we're looking for the next deal in the next 90 days. So got our head down, we're running hard, and the multifamily arena, we're just like Sean said, we're buying, we've got cash, we can close, we can take over payments. So we're in the buying mode. We're growing. Does anybody have any referrals for the HELOC issue I have, or some feedback of where I should look? I went to Amity Bank. Amity Bank is the bank that turned me down. Basically, the guy told me, he says, "Well, you just need to pay taxes 1 year." So I just said, "So I need to pay $20,000 in income taxes so that I can then, get a loan from you with a free and clear property that's being collateralized, secure it in the first place." And he says, "Yeah." And I was like, "No." So,
no, I don't have any good solutions for HELOCs right now. I mean, I think a lot of banks are just straight up just trying to avoid them. I mean, it's like they would rather do a long-term refi than a HELOC.
Yeah, but I mean, it's free and clear. It's not a refi. I just want to be able to tap into capital when I need it, but not pay obviously fees or interest on it if I'm not using it.
I think they want to do refis because they can actually securitize and sell that loan off, whereas a line of credit they've got to keep on their balance sheet,
Oh, okay. Well, that's good to know what their perspective is and why they're not
Well, yeah, because if you think about it, right, if I give you $100,000 line of credit, I have $100,000 liability on my balance sheet.
Sure.
And so I've got to keep, I think the banks have to keep like 1.5 times that in deposits. So, it affects their deposits. So that's why I think they'd much rather give you, a loan, like a fixed, a long-term loan, because then they can take that loan and sell it off to the bond market, recoup their cash, and reduce their liabilities on their balance sheet.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Okay.
Well, cool. Well, by the way, I loved the barbecue pictures from Mexico last week, Daniel. I think we need to build a brick pit in my backyard and tap that skill set that you're learning.
Yeah, I was thinking of you, man. That's why I was like, man, I got to take a video. I got to put it on the barbecue page. I got to show off a little bit. even though the skill is definitely not mine, it was the guys doing it, but I know enough to be dangerous.
Yeah, we could all learn, right?
For sure.
Well, it looks like we've got 4 or 5 other people on. Anybody else want to introduce themselves, talk a little bit about what they got going on?
Yeah, sure. This is Craig here. I'm new to the group, and I'm an investor. I do all single-family rentals throughout Texas, mostly in Dallas-Fort Worth, but some in Central Texas and Houston too. And I've got a property under contract in Coppers Cove, which is a small town close to Fort Hood. Really easy deal, remodeled place already for probably valued at about 110, 120, and getting it for low 80s. And so just going to rent that one out, rents for $1,000 a month. It's kind of a simple, easy deal. And then, what I am really looking forward this year is another, call it 5 to 10 homes that, are around, 100, 125K, and that are rentals. Maybe pick some off from a existing portfolio anywhere. Dallas is going to be hard to do anything that makes sense for me in my metrics anyway, or buy box. Because I'm looking for, lower priced properties in decent areas and neighborhoods. But, I'm really interested in Lubbock. I think Lubbock is still priced decently for what you get. I think I like the growth population trends, and I like Central Texas, not Austin. I can never make the numbers work here unless I want to just rent everything by the room, which is not that attractive to me. Fort Worth, I bought a package of portfolio last year, and that worked out really well. So if anybody has good leads on, a package or portfolio that they want from, out from underneath, or know somebody who's selling one that kind of hits those types of metrics in Texas, I'd be highly interested in.
Craig, what's your last name and contact number?
Yeah, it's Foster is the last name. Contact number is 214-458-7702.
458
7702.
7702.
Correct.
Okay. And are you out of Dallas, or are you out of, where are you at?
I live in Austin. I did live in Dallas for quite some time, probably about 13, 14 years. And so that's why I have the 214 area code.
Okay. And so you're looking for a package, maybe a portfolio, but you still want to keep the ARV between 100 and 125?
Right. And I'm fine with rents around 1,000 to 1,100.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they have to be at around 1% of the value?
Yeah, I mean, my view is that at some point in time, we're going to pause in the economic cycle. When we pause in the economic cycle, people are going to have to go rent something or live somewhere, and those places are pretty insulated at those values.
True.
There will be transition, meaning, people are going to not be able to pay the rent. They're going to have to find another place, and you have to put somebody else in there. But there's going to be people that are paying $1,500 to $1,700 that are going to want your 1,000 to 1,100. They may not want it, but they will need to live there.
Okay. And you're really looking for anywhere in Texas for the most part, or along the,
The areas
Lubbock?
I'm really, the real areas that I'm interested in are Lubbock, that I think that are practical, are Lubbock, Fort Worth, and select areas of Lubbock and Fort Worth. And Central Texas, it might be Temple, it might be Copper's Cove. Those two areas fit those. And let's see, I don't like Houston that much just because of the storms. I would otherwise. And Dallas, I would like it. Just it's just slightly moved ahead of my buy box in terms of valuation.
Okay. Did we lose
But
Tim?
that's it.
Sean, I sent you a text. If you could just kind of take the lead and just make sure. I think we got 2 more callers on right now that haven't gone yet. I have to be quiet. I have to keep stepping out because normally normally jujitsu is like super loud, but like it's a test, so like everyone's being quiet. My wife is giving me the dirty eye.
Okay,
but I'm listening to everything.
All right, so we had, thanks, Tim. Everybody's clapping for him. All right, so we had Tim, Daniel, Sean, Craig speak. Rosa, I see you dropped in. What's going on with you, since 2020, and what do you need? What are you up to?
I need a couple minutes.
All right, you want us to come back to you?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't recognize a couple of these 817 numbers, but anybody else want to?
Shan. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Who's this?
This is Shan Barton. I just joined. Just FYI, I tried to join online. Someone said the host have another meeting going on. I cannot join online, so I just dialed, on my phone. But anyway.
Okay, well that works. How do you spell your name?
SHAN.
Okay, and your last name?
Barton, BARTON.
Okay, and this phone number you're calling from, is that the best number to reach at?
That's correct. That's my cell phone number.
Well, share with us what's going on with you.
Okay, I'm a realtor in Texas, and also, but I'm an investor too. So now I'm already, it's my third flip, I would say. We bought one in Plano and fixed to do rehab in a couple weeks on February 9th. And I probably need to get some referral from you guys, contractor-wise. And that one, it's a really good deal. But I want to join this group. I want to learn more about the subject to the strategy. And in 2020, I would say, we would love to do more, I would say, wholesales and the flips. Just get some more cash flows going, I would say.
Okay, so you're looking for more subject to and more flips for 2020?
Yes, wholesale too, yeah.
And okay, to wholesale or to buy wholesale or to sell with wholesale?
Wholesale, just wholesale. To buy, sell, yeah, to the wholesaling, yeah.
Okay. So anybody help her out? She's looking for contractors. Anybody, I guess give us a little more idea of what type of contractor you're looking for. Is it GC or is it?
GC probably. I prefer GC because I'm very hands-off. I should not be actually. We want to just GC it that way. They can take over the project. We, checking just 2-3 times a couple times a week, probably maximum. Then just make sure the project. Normally, the project we are working on, they are not big rehab. 25, 30, maximum $40,000 rehab for 200,000. Well, every about $250,000 to $300,000, that kind of price range. So really not big rehab, just really very, very light, I would say. So looking for GC, yes, to answer your question. Recommendations on GCs. The project we're going to work on is in Plano, so you know, if somebody close by, that'd be preferred, but not necessarily really.
Okay. Well, I've got my contractors busy on projects right now. Anybody on the call have any GCs that they can send over to Shan or help her out with that?
That might be a good question to ask on bigger pockets.
I didn't hear what you said. After the big pocket, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I don't have contractors in Dallas, but if I was asking a question like that out of town, I would probably go on to bigger pockets.
I see.
Go to bigger pockets.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the website, biggerpockets.com.
Gotcha. Okay.
What can you give me an idea of the scope of work, Shan? This is Tim. Like, I mean, foundation, electrical, plumbing.
No, none of this. Really, you know, flooring need to be redone, and I would say cosmetic stuff. Really, flooring need to be redone, and some painting. What's it called? The roof we already finished. We already redone roof and the insurance policy. So kitchen need to be redone, but just to put the kitchen counter, you know, backsplash. Well, there's a couple walls we want to open up the kitchen because the house was built in 86 or 82. 80 is a little bit, you know, too close, I would say. We want to open it up a little bit. That's really a couple walls we need to knock it down. Really, that's it. Painting and
yeah, I mean, as far as that goes, I mean, I can definitely, if you'll just shoot me an email. Again, this is Tim.
Yeah.
Okay. And tell me like each specific item you kind of need help with. I don't work with general contractors. I sub everything out directly, but I can give you the people to call like for each little skill set in the Dallas-Fort Worth area that I use.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay, I'll do that. Thank you. Appreciate it. Also, I want to ask you guys. I think I mean I'm you know I'm totally new to this group really, but I heard you guys talk about it. You want to have more rentals. To me, I think now the market really is higher now. Why do you want to own more rentals now? Don't you think you want the market to go down a little bit and buy from there?
I mean, I'll tell you, I mean, I used to think like that, and I know a lot of people that do. Mm-hmm. For me, it's all about the curve. And I mean, waiting, because even though prices are a little high right now, interest rates are artificially low. And I think if you look at economic cycles, I think if prices go down, you know, 5% because we hit a bad economy, then interest rates go up 200 to 300 basis points, and you know your net difference in the cost of the capital and the investment kind of remains the same. Meanwhile, I'm sitting on cash that if I don't get more depreciation and I don't get more closing costs, and I don't get more expenses, then I'm just going to pay more in taxes, which I definitely don't want to do. That's my personal. Anybody else got their input?
I try to buy cheap enough. It doesn't matter what the current market is. I just don't get deals.
Define the cheap. What's the cheap? I mean, define the cheap. What is the cheap? I guess.
Well, I mean, a lot of investors are looking to buy all in 70% on the dollar. I'm in a lot of rural markets, and I look at a lot lower numbers than that. So, you know, I think the guys in the group could tell you in the Dallas area what they try to buy for all in.
So Shan, I tried to get, can you guys hear me? Okay. I had myself muted earlier and I was talking away. So I'm a big believer in cash flow. And so if I can get $300 or more cash flow per property, then that's definitely a buy and hold strategy for me. I'm more interested in long-term wealth and financial freedom. So with the interest rates the way they are now, and my return on investment, my cash out of pocket, I just look at my return. So if I'm getting a 20% return on my money and with a minimum of $300 cash flow, it doesn't matter really what I pay for the property, as long as I can hit those matrices. So that's the main thing. So I mean, if you're buying, like Tim wants 6 new rentals. I think Craig said he wanted 5 to 10 new rentals. So I think it's just a good strategy to buy as many properties as you can, as long as they're cash flowing properly.
Okay, thank you.
So Russell, I think that's you that joined back in, wasn't it?
Yes.
Okay. What's going on with you, brother?
It's been wild. A lot of sales going on. I've been studying and working the opportunity zones real heavily for the last few weeks.
Okay.
Just this week, I made a database of 250,000 properties in Arkansas in opportunity zones that I'm going to be bumping up against other lists to try to bargain shop the properties in those zones. I primarily am trying to get rid of the administrative tasks that go along with year end and all to get back into buying mode. But it's all going real good. Probably the weak spot on my work right now is contractors and kind of keeping the remodeling and the repairs up with properties. I'll be speaking at Quest Boot Camp March the 14th in Houston, buying land and buying properties with defective titles. Really look forward to that speaking engagement.
What's the date you're doing that in March again?
March the 14th on a Saturday in Houston. It's a Quest boot camp, 9 to 4 down in Katy, Texas. Suburb of Houston.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Okay, what do you need want or need? Sounds like you're enjoying the opportunity zones. Is there anything we could help you with?
You know, I think private money is the one area that I have not used investors since the mid-90s for anything.
Okay.
But I'm expanding into a few different areas that I'll probably be looking for some private money this year. And that's something when I was using investors back in the mid-90s, I had partners that were pretty much taking care of that side, and I was taking care of more of administrative type things about a land development business. So yeah, that's an area that I need to improve on.
So for 2020, do you have an idea of how much capital you want to raise, or what kind of returns that you're looking to give private money?
You know, I haven't really worked the return numbers out yet. It's something that's just kind of come up in the last few days that I might do. I mean, my business is well sustained with several hundred existing properties, but probably short-term money I could use. I mean, up to $2 million over the period of like April through October. It'd probably be short-term, and I'd have it all paid off, almost all paid off at that point. Longer-term money, I could probably use $300,000 or something like that.
So longer-term being 10 years?
Longer-term, no. I mean, probably 2, 3, 4 years, something in that range.
Okay. So maybe 2 to 4 years on long-term money, short-term money, get in and get out. You're saying payable in April to October, have it all paid back? Is that what you were saying?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Sure, yeah.
So
the longer term
$2 million, that's sweet. Okay.
No, well, I think I said $1 million.
Oh,
I think
$1 million.
Well, I may have. Yeah, I mean, it's that idea is kind of in the early stages. I haven't really explored it. Like I say,
Okay.
Private money is not something that, actually any kind of debt is not something that I've done in the past.
Well, I think
I've
you're in the right place going to these Quest meetings, and especially being a speaker, at these meetings that gives you the floor. So I think you're in, holy cow, a really good opportunity to raise some capital. Do you have an idea of what kind of returns you're wanting to give investors for the short-term money?
Not really. That's something. That's one of the first things I really need to study. I have, like I say, have not done it since the mid '90s. So I've got to really feel the market a little bit better on that.
So from my perspective, from IRA money, most IRA money, they don't need the cash back right away. So, they just want their account to go up. So Tim, maybe you can answer this too, but I've been seeing private money as low as 5% and as high as probably 10%. I haven't really seen any higher than that personally. I personally, when I'm paying for private money, obviously the lower the better, but probably the last maybe 5 deals that I've done, I've paid 5 to 8%. And I just did a private money loan on one of my rental properties here that I'm actually working on right now. And I did a 30-year loan at 8%, no prepayment penalties. And so I thought that was a pretty good deal.
Yeah, I mean, I'm paying 6, 7, 8, and it's actually backwards for 365, 180, or 90. So if you're willing to be on the note for a year, I'll pay you 8. If you want the note to be 6 months, I'll pay you 7. If you want the note to be 90 days, I'll pay you 6. And we've probably got $2 million in private money right now that we keep almost fully deployed. It's one of those things that, same thing as you, Sean, I don't pay any points or fees or anything. And I only borrow the purchase price. I don't borrow the rehab or whatever. But we'll actually take that back. I've got one investor that I pay 6%, and we probably turn $500,000 a quarter for him, where we borrow all the rehab because that's how I'm doing my rentals. I borrow 75% on the front end, or not, well, it's not 75%. It's more about what I think the cash flow is going to actually put the refinance number at. Mm-hmm. And that's the amount we borrow. That way it's a rate and term refinance instead of a cash out refinance, and I'm getting a better rate and more favorable terms.
Cool. Well, like I say, it's not something that I have spent a lot of time considering, thinking about working on. I just noticed over the last few years that I've left a lot of deals on the table because of the fact that I was staying all in on cash on everything I do. And so I'm just kind of am open to expanding in that direction a little bit, but it's not something I have to do. But yeah, I've got to do a little studying this year on private money.
The other thing I've seen is, especially with IRA money, they're really investing more in you than the project that you're working on. I mean, with your experience and the number of deals that you've done, I mean, that's probably what's going to get you the capital is just your experience. So you could probably give them the money.
Yeah, they'll probably give them the money at 4% if they'll just take their phone calls.
Yep. And if you get 4% money, hey,
Tim,
Russell,
if you care to wager on that, Tim, I'd be glad to put a large wager on that, and I'd be glad to lose it.
Yeah, well, I bet you, heck, I'll come to your meeting. I'll come to the meeting where you're speaking, and I'll just stand up afterwards and say, all right, now, if you'd like Russ's cell phone and give him money at 4%, come see me.
Yep. I'll be there too.
I'll just take a 50 bip spread on it, and we'll be good.
Hey, I say we share the wealth.
But I mean, Russ, I mean, I know you do deal mainly in cash out of your IRA, but you know, if you had if you cultivated that and you ever found a multifamily project or something that you could get all the passives or money back, you know, in a year and a half, 2 years by stabilizing the property, and then you didn't have to tie up, you know, $500,000, $1 million of your own cash on it. I think that I see what you're saying. You almost build up that database where it's like a line of credit for you. Whenever you find the right deal,
Right.
you can go tap it.
Mhm. Yeah, the database I'm working right now, just on the opportunity zone alone, like I said, is about 250,000 potential properties, and in the first 6 months, or just even the first month or two, I will probably have whittled that down to 20,000 properties in opportunity zones that are things that I feel like I have a decent chance at buying it with the kind of numbers I normally use. So yeah, there'll be a big question of keeping up with deal flow and particularly keeping up with the money side of that.
Shoot, I'm just going to give you some money and let you go play.
Hey, I'll take some of that too, Tim.
Well, I mean, Russ and I had a call, and he was kind of going through some of his forecasts and his numbers on these opportunity zones, and I mean, it's very, very attractive. I mean, it's like he characterized it on a phone call today or the other day that, you know, 1031 you're deferring the tax, and opportunity zone you're really just making it disappear, the tax. And you know, beginning this week, I've got so much tax stuff I have to worry about that, you know, it'd be nice to not worry about it.
Well, you know, worst case scenario, you can take all of the gains you've had last year on rental properties, for example, Section 1231 properties, which is generally a rental property, and up and through June of this year, you could throw those into an opportunity zone. You start an opportunity zone fund for $2,000 to $5,000 of overhead expense. You could throw all that money in there June the 29th and avoid paying the tax on it last year, and turn it into a machine that could basically buy and sell properties for the next 30 years or 27 years without paying a penny in capital gains or recapture, and gets to take all of your depreciation. So, you know, it's a really, really good deal. It's what you get when you get a real estate investor in the White House.
Well, Russ, we all look forward to your 30-minute presentation on that on February 27th.
That's right.
Hey, I mean, look, I mean, if 30 of us put in $100K a piece, I mean, that's a pretty substantial start to an opportunity zone.
Hey, my son is in the process. He's going to sell all of his stock, and he'll have $129 in gains. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot, but he started those investments when he was 4 years old, putting a quarter a week back, and now he's 13. But he's going to try to start an opportunity zone with $130 in funding. Now, that is going to be bizarre, and he may lose out on it, but we're going to help him give it a shot.
Well, I've met him. I don't think he'll lose out on anything.
Right.
All right, who's next? We're getting close to 7 o'clock.
We got the last one, whoever's phone number ends in 9209.
Yeah, that's John Dowdy. That's me. I'm kind of new. This is my second call on here. I live in Red Oak, trying to get into real estate. I'm on my 4th rehab property, so I'm rehabbing houses to try to build up cash to start collecting rentals. I have one rental house. It was my first house that we bought. We moved in 2014, and we kept it and turned it into a rental. And I've got the same tenant for the last 5 years, been taking care of the place, been pretty good. Yeah, I'm kind of new, just kind of getting in, see how things go. I've gone to different conferences and whatnot, and just collecting information.
What's your last name, John?
Dowdy, D-O-W, T as in Tom, Y.
What's your biggest pain point right now?
Yeah, good one.
What was that again?
What's your biggest pain point? What are you struggling? So mine is time management.
What is the biggest thing you're struggling with right now?
Kind of a toss-up between time management because I have a full-time job and funding to be able to do more than one property at a time.
Well, let's talk about what is your current funding?
I've got a guy out of Arizona that did the hard money loan to purchase the property, and I've made enough on the last couple of houses that I have the cash to do the rehab on this fourth one. And it started out with a personal loan that I got back in 2017. So I've been chasing that down. I have 2 more payments left, and that $50,000 loan will be paid for. So it'll give me a little bit more cash flow of not having to spend the money paying that payment every month. Current property's in Ennis, paid $125 for it. It should be worth somewhere upwards of $200 to $210 when I'm done with it. Almost done. Just got to finish up flooring and a few minor things. Hope to be done next week. Then get it listed, and hopefully it sells quick.
So what are your goals then? This is Sean McQuistion. So what are your goals for 2020? You want to keep doing the fix and flip, or is that your main strategy?
Yeah, fix and flips, and hopefully somewhere along the line I can capture 1 or 2 rentals and start building rental cash flow.
So for 2020, what does that look like? Are you talking about 1 rental, 2 rentals?
If I can put it together, I'd like 2 rentals and flip about 3 more houses.
Okay. And so what you're needing then for your rehab properties is you just need more private money or more hard money, or what do you need out of that?
Private money would be nice because it's cheaper. Hard money is expensive. I've got a guy that's pretty simple. It's 2 points and 12 without any of the junk fees. I went through one company when I did my first house. It was 3 points and 12, plus I had to pay a fee to make my payments, plus I had to pay document fees to do closing, plus, all these fees. That was ridiculous. But the property that I bought, wiggle room in it to absorb it all.
Okay. Well, I mean, are you finding the properties, buying them right?
Fairly right. I want to find an easier property. I keep finding what looks like a good deal that it turns into a major rehab. The house I got in Ennis was going to be redo kitchen, bathrooms, flooring, and repaint. And we start pulling all the paneling out and pulled the kitchen apart, found aluminum wiring, had my electrician come out, and everything was old school 2 wires. So we ended up having to gut the house 4 feet off the floor and do a complete rewire.
Was there an inspector on this job? Was there an inspector on this job? A home inspection before the purchase?
No.
Did you pull the electric panel cover off just to see what kind of wiring there was?
Nope, I learned that lesson the hard way. I'm back in college, it seems like.
Well,
so
hopefully in 4 years you'll be educated.
Have a whole lot of good stuff going into it and what to look for, pull panels apart, check a few things. Having to rewire it saved me on the cast iron plumbing. The plumbing that went between the floors for the 2-story house had some issues. And so all that's been ripped out, redone. So it's all new plumbing except for a small section of main line underneath the slab. I had a plumber come out, check it, and he goes, "It's good. Shouldn't have to worry about it for, quite a few years into the future." And then it's PVC all the way out to the street, so it's been partially upgraded before I bought it.
If you're going to tear walls out, you can go on eBay or Amazon and buy, they call them endoscopes, but it's just little cameras on a 7 or up to 45-foot cable that are less than the size of a pin that you can stick in a hole and see what's behind there. So I think anytime you plan to tear something open, it's probably a real good idea to stick a $7 camera back there first and see before you buy.
Yep. So, learning lots of gotchas to look for buying houses. Of course, I looked at it in the dark. That didn't help. No power, trying to, look around. But I was itching for my next deal because I just closed and sold the other house, got the check to clear, and I bought my next one 2 weeks later. But it's almost done. Get it listed, get out of it, and get my next one.
I had one like that this year that was such a hoarded up house full of junk that I was in with another investor. We both looked at it. We didn't see very many major problems in the house. And once we got all the junk cleaned out, we actually got to see the floors and the walls, and it was pretty amazingly bad.
Yeah. That's what I'm hoping for. I've bought one hoarder house. That was fun. Cleaning all the junk out of it. So that was me and my son and a couple of friends' kids cleaning it out. It only took us like a day and a half. But that one went pretty well. And then the Waxahachie house that I did last year was a whole lot. It was a pier and beam house from, I can't remember what year, but they had to lift one section of it 13 or 14 inches. By the time they got it all lifted and leveled, I ended up putting 160 sheets of sheetrock in it to completely redo the house. But that one went good. Once it was all done, opened up, looking good, I sold it in 2 weeks. So I'm hoping for a quick sale on this one.
Well, I think
But that's all I've got,
Again, this is Sean. I think the biggest key is the funding sources. So, I mean, if you've got a full-time job and have income, getting in with a hard money loan or private and then refinancing into long-term traditional financing and keeping two properties as a rental, I think is a pretty good strategy. And using the funds from your rehabs or your fix and flips, keeping some of that to the side to do your rental properties is what a lot of us in this group are doing. So I think that's a good strategy for you. So, Russell's speaking at Quest IRA, so those are always good sources, IRA money, to either be short-term private capital, maybe for your purchase plus your rehab. Sometimes it's just your rehab. Sometimes it's your down payment and closing costs. So I think attending a meeting or two and talking to people in that area would probably be really beneficial for you too, as if you want to do more rehabs than what you're currently doing.
Okay, never thought of that. I've heard of Crest IRA, and I've talked to them at the expo that I went to last year. Got some good information. It's just matter of
what do you do full time?
I manage digital X-ray systems for a medical company. It's me and two other guys that we got 528 locations now. So I handle all the digital X-ray and stuff.
So in the medical industry, do you know people that have been maybe in their late 40s, early 50s that have been laid off in the last 5 years?
No.
Okay. That's a strategy that sometimes it's easy to get that 401k money. If somebody was a high money earner with a company and they've been laid off, or the company went out of business, but they've been saving money in a 401k, then that's money they could roll over to like Quest, and you could help control that. And usually the guys in their 40s and 50s in 60s may have a pretty substantial amount of money in their 401k, and you just have to be educated on how to help them move it over to a self-directed IRA.
Tim, on that topic of getting private money at these Quest events, have you said anything before I got on the call about possibly going to the mixer the night before your next event?
Yeah, Tim's not on the line.
Well, anyway, Tim and I have discussed that the night before our event on the 27th, Quest has their $1 trillion mixer on the 26th at 6:30 in the evening in North Dallas and on Montford. And I think he was intending for us to go as a group to that mixer. That might be a great opportunity for us to all kind of pitch, our deals to private investors. So, that may be the first opportunity. We may even be able to do some training on the phone before or after that about what we did right or wrong and such.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
And I think you'd expect 100 to 200 people that night.
Be a good turnout. A lot of people to buck shoulders with and talk.
Well, Russell, I appreciate it. That's a really good idea. And then, John, I would just keep in mind the people if you run into people that are laid off, just talk to them about, what they're doing with their retirement funds, and there'll be a good opportunity for all of us on this call to raise some additional money. John, do you have anything else?
No, I don't have anything else.
All right. Well, I see Jeremiah's joined us. How you doing, young man? Take us off of mute and share with us what you're up to, what you're looking for. But you got to take your phone. There you go.
There we go. Well, just got out the shower, man. I had paint everywhere and all over me. But man, we're just working on rentals, trying to get some stuff back up and going, get some tenants back in. We had quite a few evictions, that we had to do. We got behind pretty good on some of them. Trying to have a good heart, but you got to stick by the code. But other than that, man, everything is everything, man. Got one where I'm getting ready to sell, where that I could, see what I want to do on my next venture. I got 3 routes I want to take, just which route to take first. So other than that, that's what's going on.
So for 2020, you're looking to do what then?
2020, well, I'm get on the flip side of it. I'm start flipping, doing some flips and seeing how that work out for us.
Okay. And have you identified where you're going to get the opportunities, how you're going to do the marketing, the financing? You got all that worked out already?
Yeah, on the financing end, it's one that I'll be selling. So, I got back pretty good on that when I did over 100% profit on it. So I'm gonna get rid of it. So, and from that point,
that's the one you're trying to sell now. Okay.
Yeah.
And are you selling that retail, or are you wholesaling that, or how are you doing on that property?
Well, I'm pushing to retail it. I mean, I get a lot of wholesalers that call for it, but retail is, that's the way to go. You want to get more for it. So, so from that point, I'm just going to build from the ground up and maybe flip that one, and then the next one I may keep.
Okay. So what do you need help with for 2020 from the group here?
Oh man, just knowledge. Knowledge.
All right. Well, I see Tim's recording this, and he's going to post the recordings online. So, not just the group that's on here now, but there'll be a lot of people going back and looking at the recordings. And I'm talking on the phone.
Yeah,
my son's over here trying to bug me, say, Dad, you've been on here long enough.
Well, I'm saying basketball.
Okay. Yeah, well, you were supposed to be at basketball in 30 minutes. All right. So sorry, guys. So, putting on here what you want or need if you're looking for money, or, I mean, we're all looking for money. If you're looking for contractors, sounds like you're pretty good in that area. So it's just the financing and finding the deals. Is that right?
Yeah. Now, to move faster, because I'm going at a very slow rate doing it all, just trying to do it yourself. So,
so how many fix and flips you want to do this year?
I didn't put a limit on it. I mean, normally I would do, maybe 2 or 3, but they're all cash out of pocket. So
you're paying cash for the deal?
Yeah, everything. Yeah, everything is done cash out of pocket because I kind of messed up with the creditors. So I'm having to do it the hard way. So other than that,
okay.
Once I'm and build my credit back up along the way as I build these next houses and get back where I need to be.
So maybe just
what kind of credit score are you looking at?
There you go.
You know what?
What kind of credit score you?
It's so ugly. I hadn't looked at it. It may be in the 5s right now. So.
Do you know how to build it?
Oh yeah, start out, get you a secured credit card. I mean, it wouldn't take 6 months, to get it back. With everything flowing in cash, they just want to see that, you're gonna do what you say you're gonna do. So, and I mean, I thought I would secure credit cards, for one, and then hopefully they don't have me back at a furniture place trying to get furniture like when I first started. But I know it was hard trying to, find some creditors to even give you. Do you have any suggestions on that?
Yeah, Russell, you have any suggestions on that?
Well, I would start with a book if you don't really know well. There are a lot of illegitimate services, but there's a lot of good services also that will, get you into going to banks and getting secured CD loans, trying to get some of the negative information off of your reports by disputing it, like collection accounts. They try to get you to clean up all of the old addresses on your credit report and then dispute those. And a lot of times all they have to match you with is an address. So a lot of those collection accounts fall off with that technique. But there's I know in Little Rock of a little service for $100 that does a real good job cleaning up credit reports.
Okay.
And it doesn't mean you can clean everything up, but you've got a law on your side, and you just have to kind of play with the legal methods of getting them to prove everything on there. And if they don't, it drops off. Plus, building new stuff.
Yeah, because I couldn't believe they were telling me, well, don't pay them. Dispute it. You're like, don't pay them? That's the best thing to do is not pay them? It's like, yeah, don't pay them. Dispute it. So I'm like, I don't know. So you just got to get the right person, I guess, that knows about it, because that just didn't sound right to me. At least they know they got their money, even if it was late. At least it's on there that you paid them. But I guess that's just the way the game was played, I guess.
Was that John that was talking about the company Little Rock?
That was Russell.
Russell, excuse me. Do you have the name of that company or a phone number or contact that you can share?
No. My last contact with them was they were running around the state doing first-time homebuyer seminars, and they were pretty legit. They knew what they were talking about, and they were really motivated to get their customers up in their credit, because their real gig was to get you into first-time home products. So I could try to look at it. I'm sure I could find that and possibly have it with me at the meeting next month.
Okay.
But I mean, I think you can get as much. I think that your real first step is to buy a book. There's a lot of good books out there at Books A Million or anywhere on repairing credit. And, there's so many simple steps. There is Tim had an organization that came to his expos for years, a guy named Chandler, I think it was, that sold a package. It was a bit more expensive than that, but it was also geared towards getting you up to an 800 credit score. And the sessions I attended with them, I felt like they really knew what they were talking about. So for an investor, I really think that would be a better way to go than to try to deal with one of these outfits that tries to get you up to a 625. I think you really, as an investor, need to get up to 800.
Right. Yeah, because it's been real hard. The property that I'm getting ready to sell, I hated to sell it, but you know, it was just so hard to try to get, and then I'm paying for a hard money loan, and it just seems like a waste that, you know, 10, 12% I'm paying for money that I could just sell, and you know, I don't owe anything. So it's just.
Sean, do you remember who that was that was at Tim's expos year after year? A guy named Chandler.
Yeah, I remember. I was looking at my contacts while you were talking, and I can't find him in my contacts, but yeah, I remember I spoke to him extensively. I actually had some of my clients, some of my tenants use him, but I don't remember. Maybe that's something Jeremiah, I'd say maybe just reach out to Tim and see if he's got that contact number still.
Yeah, because I think you're better off working your way to 800 than working your way to 625. And I do remember that their first price they gave you was pretty rough, and they'd contact you back with a half to a third of that price within 6 months.
Oh, okay. So is it something that's pretty pricey to get done that way, or?
If I remember right, they were trying to sell you a $2,000 solution up front, and that before it was over with, they were down to $500 or $600.
Yeah, that's what I remember too.
Okay.
So I like the fact you're working on your credit. I think that's something to take serious. I mean, obviously you can do deals in real estate regardless of credit. You know, back in 2008, I got hit pretty hard on my credit, but I was still able to buy properties, you know, leveraging other people's credit, leveraging, you know, subject to properties where you're taking over the payments and then renting them out. I mean, there's a lot of strategies, but I agree. Getting your score towards 800 is going to help you. If you've got cash and you're spending cash on your deals, you're really not leveraging the financing. So your return is going to be a lot lower than if you're leveraging financing appropriately.
Right, and that's really what I felt like was hurting, because it takes so long for you to get your money back out of a rental property till you got to start flipping, you know. So, yeah, that's the.
I mean, feel free to bring your credit report to the meeting in February. And I'm sure there's several of us here that can give us, you know, some good pointers as to what to do to start with.
Okay. Okay.
Well, guys, it's hour and 15 minutes. I think we'll wrap this up. We do have a recording of this, so if people want to go back and look at that later, I'd like to thank everybody for coming online and checking out our group. We've got the next meeting. Russell, what was that date again?
You talking about the meeting in person in Little Rock? I mean, in Dallas?
Yeah.
That was the Thursday. Is it the 27th of February?
Yeah, 27th.
Yeah, February 27th.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so put that on your calendars, and you know, let's meet up then. If anybody has any questions, just reach out to our group on Facebook, and you can get a lot of your questions answered there as well. So I got to run. Anybody else?
Regarding that meetup, does the team already contact the hotel? Do we have blocked the room so we get a special rate if we want to stay there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Well, he told me today that he had tied something up in Plano, and that yeah, I think he's 90-something% sure that's going to be where it's at. So he's pretty much tied it up.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Bye bye.